Viewer discretion advised. Refrain from watching if you're short-tempered or get offended or annoyed easily, or if you're under the age of 18. Also, don't watch if you're touchy on the following subjects, such as mental health, suicide, firearms, veterans, dark humor, swearing, violence, war, small parts of political and world events. The host, co-hosts, and guests are not professionals, so anything mental or physical health-related topics mentioned on Asylum Arms, take with a grain of salt and contact your doctor or therapist for advice or questions on those subjects.
Welcome back to another episode of Asylum Arms. This is episode 31, apparently. Today we have, what do you want us to call us again? You again? I'm sorry.
You call me Sang, like I sang a song.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. We have Sang here. But before it's a word from our sponsors, with Audible. The app is free and can be installed on all platforms, smartphones, tablets, and devices. You can listen across devices without losing your spot. And if you don't decide what you want to listen to, don't worry. You can keep your credits up to 1 year and use them to binge watch the whole series if you like. Also, if you use our free trial, our link that should be popping up in chat eventually, it gives you a 30-day free trial. It supports the podcast, and you get free ebooks. So it's a win-win situation. Anyways, that's a word from our sponsors. Let's go back to the episode of the podcast. So would you like to tell us on what you've done in your time in the service?
So I've been in for 17 years now. I'm currently still serving in Army National Guard. I've done 2 tours to Iraq. I was an 11 Bravo. I hold that as a secondary, which is an infantryman. And now I'm a 31 Bravo, which is a military police officer. So I do that currently now.
So are you still active then?
Actively reserve, yeah.
Okay.
So I got 3 more years and I retire.
That's nice.
So we were talking a little bit before the podcast, Sang, and
yes,
I realized I wanted to ask you this particular question, and what made you make the choice from military police or from infantry to military police?
So in the infantry, I wanted to stay there, but I got married. I had 2 kids at the time. I went back for a second deployment with the aviation unit. Didn't enjoy that deployment at all. But I've always wanted to go MP. One of my closest friends on my first deployment was an MP. He was a filler for our deployment with the infantry. And there... he was such a good guy, and I wanted to do law enforcement on the civilian side. So I was thinking to myself, why not get the experience as an MP on the military side, which counts as more of federal. So I did that. I joined the MP Corps back in 2014, and I don't regret it. My body is not the same as it was when I first joined at 17 years old. And that was like the biggest decision why I left the infantry. Is the infantry takes a toll on you. All those rucking, all the rucking, all the field time, all the carrying, all that crap all the time. It was just taking a toll on me, and I felt it at a young age already. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to survive doing 20 years in the infantry. Most of the guys that I know or I knew, they told me, they're like, hey, if you feel yourself breaking down already, then get out of the infantry. It's like, I'd rather you go still serve and do something else while you're still young than, trying to push through something that's going to break you down and possibly end your career a lot earlier. Mm-hmm. And, I took that with a grain of salt, and I had to really think hard about it. I tried to go to military intel before. They just never sent me to school, and they kept playing too many games. I mean, if there's one thing I would give advice to everybody who's thinking about joining, is you always are in charge of your career up to a certain extent, where people will block you, people will prevent you from doing stuff. And, it is what it is. And it's just how you bounce back from it. You can take it with the negativity, which a lot of soldiers, I'm pretty sure a lot of Marines, a lot of sailors, coasties, airmen, and all that, they're just so bitter and negative, and they hate the military. They're like, man, I don't know why I joined in the first place. And, they join with the sincerity of I'm going to serve my country, and we lose track of that for selfish reasons. So, and I can understand that, but hey, if you can't hack it, then do your time and get out. They tell you that in boot camp. Tell you, I was told that by all my drill sergeants. Like, hey, this is your opportunity right now. If you can't hack it in infantry, let us know. We'll reclassify you somewhere else. You don't have to be an infantryman, right? I mean, it was back in 2006, so we were really desperate for numbers going to Iraq and Afghanistan.
It's very well said, by the way.
Thank you.
You're not wrong there.
So,
he
real
says,
quick
don't
comment
judge
from
your
chat.
career, with your experience in one command. That's very true. I've had multiple soldiers like stay within one unit, especially like an MP Corps right now. And I'm not going to say what unit I'm in, but they're like, F this unit, F this unit. I'm like, look, you haven't experienced any other unit yet. Go ahead and transfer out. Don't end your career early. Don't do this, don't do that. If you're not happy here in this unit, go to another unit. You never know.
Out of all the jobs and stuff you've done with the military, which one's your favorite and which one's your least favorite?
I'm gonna say I miss the camaraderie in the infantry, 100%. It's a brotherhood that you can never take away. You put your life on the line, you take a bullet for somebody, and my daughter's godfather, which is the same guy I'm talking about, who's the MP, he's forever gonna be my friend. He's forever gonna be my brother in arms. We put our lives on each other all the time. And that's something that with peacetime, you lose track of. You go out there and you're like, it could be your day any day. It could be, and then when it comes to peacetime, it's like, oh, it's just another guy I got to work with. And it kind of sucks. So in the infantry, camaraderie, like brotherhood, you're more than just another soldier. You're my brother. In the MP Corps, I love how everybody tries to stay professional because we're law enforcement on the military side. I love that fact. I love how they try to stay motivated when times really suck. I know that, and the same thing in the infantry, you just embrace the suck, but it's like a different kind of suck in the MP Corps. So I give them that. And my least favorite experience was probably on my second deployment with the aviation unit. Like I said, I had a terrible experience. Sergeant Major called CID on us for stealing when contractors were giving all these mechanics tools and everything, and it was just really bad experience.
Oh, what is the CID?
It's the Criminal Investigation Department.
Okay.
Kind of like NCIS for the Navy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, like that's wrong. Your own sergeant major, right, for the battalion, calling CID on us. Like you. So the story behind that is, I was with the mechanic unit in aviation. And aviation is a wheel mechanics. They were given tools by mechanic contractors out there because we were downsizing, right? We were part of Operation New Dawn. When we started our mission, it was still Operation Iraqi Freedom, and then it transitioned to Operation New Dawn, which was the pulling out of Iraq. So contractors were leaving left and right. Their contracts were ending. They're sending them back home, or they were just out of work and everything. And they have brand new tools. I'm talking about these are like $800 to $1,500 tool sets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "Here, you can have them." So they took them. Army guys are going to take them. Any military person would, especially if you say you could just have them, right?
Yeah.
So you take them. They label maker, put your name on it, claimed it. They put it into a Connex, and they're like, "All right, well, this is going to be one of the first Connex to get sent back home. I claim these tools." Sergeant Major got wind of it, came down with the XO. The BC was on leave already. Came down with the XO, and XO was a bit timid. And Sergeant Major was all like, "Where all these tools come from?" And they explained to him, like, came from the contractors. They're like, well, is it on their books? If it's on the Army books, or is it their own their own money from the contracting company? Because if it was military money, then it belongs to the military. So technically, you're stealing from the military, kind of. Well, they went back to the contractors, got a memo from them, and saying like, "Hey, yeah, we gave them the tools. They're just going to send them back down to Baghdad and derm them, which is melt them, destroy them." So sergeant majors are like, "No, they're on Army books because the military funded it. Like, you got to give it back." And it's like, okay, we'll give it back then. 3 hours later, while it was during a work day, he comes back and puts a lock of his own on the Connex and does not give them the opportunity to turn it back in. A big old giant investigation happens. You know, a lot of the soldiers there got treated like criminals. Like, you were stealing, you know it was, and it was just so bad. The battalion commander came back from leave, had no idea what was going on. It was like he apologized to every single one of us. Like, I'm so sorry this happened. Like, you know, Sergeant Major, you're banned from them. Period. You're not gonna harass them anymore. And then he told every single one of us, if Sergeant Major even remotely gets close to our working areas, come tell me right away. Open door policy. Come right now.
At least tell me this guy got fired or written up or something.
So he got reprimanded. He left the unit early, right? But the investigation went on. Our platoon sergeant and our first sergeant were removed from Iraq early also. Really sucks for the first sergeant. You know, he had his diamond and he lost his diamond, not necessarily a rank per se, but he lost a position of leadership. So he bumped down to a master sergeant. It's still an E8, but yeah, he lost his diamond and he was forced to retire as a master sergeant instead of a first sergeant. But the platoon sergeant, he just got like a slap on the wrist, got sent home early from Iraq, and then moved on from there. Oh, same thing with the company commander. Yeah, the company commander got a bad OER, which is like a review evaluation for officers. And once you get one of those, you're not getting promoted at all anymore. Past captain.
Yeah. So that's just a career ender right there, basically.
Yeah, like I said, it was just a bad deployment. Probably one of my worst experience. I was like, I'll never go back. I had one soldier, she stayed there and she's had nothing but a horrible time there. And she's friends with my wife, and I told her, my wife keeps me updated. I don't really talk to her. And my wife's like, yeah, she did this and did that, and this is happening. I'm like, then leave the freaking company. Like, you have an open contract. There's nothing binding you to that country. Transfer out. It's like, so I'll never, it was such a bad experience in the aviation unit that I'll never go back. Me personally, anybody who wants to join the aviation unit, you got experience for yourself, but that's just me on a personal level.
Yeah.
Someone coming from somebody that served as Army aviation, or in a facet of Army aviation, I can say this for a fact. Anybody in the Army aviation is a bunch of backstabbers.
Oh, coming from the infantry to the aviation, I couldn't believe the camaraderie was so bad. I just couldn't believe it. You know, as simple as, hey, I forgot my credit card. Can you spot me for like a pizza or a sandwich? Because we had like Pizza Hut and stuff out there. Oh, this is a true story. Like, I forgot my whole entire wallet back in my room, and I was like, hey, like, can you spot me for this pizza? I forgot my wallet. Oh, sorry, bro. My birthday just passed, and I just bought myself an Xbox 360, and that was kind of like a present to myself. I don't have any money. I'm like, we're 4 months into deployment, and you don't have money?
That doesn't make sense.
And it's not like I'm asking you to spot me. I'm not paying you back. Like, I will give you cash once we get back to our room. And he said, I'm so sorry, bro. I don't got the money. I'm like, you're kidding me. and like, that right there was oh, just one person. And I was like, yeah. Mm-mm. So, it was back in 2010 during the recession. So I was hurting for money. So I was sucking up a whole lot of pain. Embracing the suck was so real just because I needed the money. I needed the deployment just to keep everything paid at home. My wife my wife just had our second daughter. So I needed it pretty bad to get out of debt. And then I was like, it sucks so bad. I couldn't tell you how much it sucked. Not taking away from anybody else who enjoyed that deployment per se. I mean, I know my roommate, he was a welder, and he at the time of his life just welding. I mean, minus the investigation, I kept up with him a little bit when we got back, and he says, it wasn't too bad.
So, in your eyes, what was your I guess besides the whole investigation situation, what was your worst sucking it up moment?
The worst sucking up moment. That is a good one. I can say one from each deployment. The first one was getting mortared.
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah, and I forgot what base we were leaving out of. I think it was Baghdad, and so communication was terrible back then, back in 2007, 2008. Like comms between your internal comms of your convoy, and then comms of the whole entire country. So you had two sets of comms out there, and the comms for the whole entire country really was bad. I don't know why nobody was either listening to the radio or the crypto was wrong and they weren't loading up the updated crypto or nothing. But so what happened was we were leaving, trying to go back down to Kuwait. We were done with our mission, escorting all these empty trucks for convoy security. The first convoy left. They stopped about 3 miles out, talking about a PIED, which is a possible IED. So they stopped, but the base still sent us out. So we were the second convoy, and these convoys are not short. They're freaking long. They're at least 15 to they're sometimes 15 miles long, but most of the time they're about 3 to 5 miles long, full of trucks, either gun trucks and supply trucks, all these semis. So we got sent out and we got stuck right behind them. And we're like, oh, yeah, cool. We're stuck here now because of PIED. Anybody who's ever deployed, EOD takes forever. I mean, they were right there on base, and they still took 3.5 hours to get out. Their estimated time was still 3.5 hours.
That's a long ass time
just to get outside the base. I don't know.
God, imagine if you're off base.
When you're off base, I've heard of 8-hour waits for PIED, and so you'll hear stories from guys where like, "Yeah, cancel EOD," and they end up pushing through, or they shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
Which we've done a couple times. We've done that a couple times with PIDs. We just roll through it, or we roll around it, or we shoot it. Yeah, we're not waiting. It's we're just sitting here for 8 hours. No. So we pushed out, and then we stopped, and we radioed it up on the main channel, hey, don't let any more convoys out. We're stuck here. Well, the third convoy comes out because it's normally about 45 minutes per convoy to go out the gate. And we were running short on supplies all over the entire country. So they were pushing out supplies as much as they can. So the third convoy comes out, and the third convoy gets stuck behind us. They call up a PIED also. God. We're great. We're stuck in between two PIEDs and two convoys. The fourth convoy rolled out, but they were stuck literally at the gate. They couldn't even leave the gate pretty much. Next thing you know, I believe the second PIED went off because there's a flash behind us. Next thing you know, we're getting mortared. And I was in an ASV, which is a armored support vehicle. And it holds the 50 cal and the Mark 19. And inside, gunners inside the hatch. And you'll have night vision and regular vision. I was on my night vision because it was already dark, how long we were waiting. And I'm scanning my sectors and everything, making sure it's all clear. Next thing you know, a flash goes off. A big boom, a flash goes off. I feel like small vibration. It's not too much of a vibration, but mostly what scared the hell out of me was your night vision goes off. It has a safety feature where if something's too bright, it'll automatically shut off.
Yeah.
So you imagine how scary that is, like peeping through a little night vision hole, like just scanning the area. Then big flash. You feel a little rumble. You're like, oh crap, what the hell just happened? And then I hear all the debris just hitting my vehicle, and I'm like checking myself, like, oh crap, what happened? What happened? Because any good military person who's overseas knows, like when you get hit like that, you got to check yourself.
Well, yeah, at that point,
scrap metal.
Because at that point, that's just all adrenaline at that point.
Yeah. So you got to check yourself for strap metal, right? I'm trying to see if I have any warm spots. I'm wiggling my toes, wiggling my fingers, turning my head left and right. I'm like, good, I'm not hit. But I was like, and then my truck commander was all like, what happened? I'm like, I think we got mortared. I'm like, I can't see crap. Like, so what do I do? He's like, poke your head out. I'm like, after all that debris just hit the truck, you really want me to poke my head out? Like, you're dumb. Me and my truck commander had a small argument at the same time. And I hear the radio just going off. Like everybody's just, when panic mode seeps in hard. And it's just so noisy where I threw my headset off. And I'm like, if you need me, yell at me. Because I just couldn't bear hearing everybody over the comms. And then I look through the regular sight and I'm seeing more flashes. And I'm seeing them walk in more and more and more. I'm guessing they came from a truck. Because most of the time when you get hit and then they start walking in more, it's normally a truck like driving really slow, just dropping as many mortars as they can. But that was probably like the most scariest time of my life. And like that, yeah, that was not a good experience. And then after the chatter calmed down, I'm hearing everybody yelling at each other. You need to move out. Like, get the fuck on the road already. Like, we're getting mortared. We can't just sit here. Like, that's not our SOP. You're getting mortared. You need to move.
Yeah.
You're just sitting ducks. So we started moving out finally. That's when I put my headset back on and talked to them normal. And luckily, nobody was hurt. Nobody was killed. Nobody was hurt. I was real happy about that. Yeah, these guys are not very accurate when they start mortaring from a moving truck.
So we have a question from chat.
Yes.
So while we were deployed, we had the MWR. I'm not sure what it's called for the Army, but they would charge us $22 for an energy drink. Did you ever run into something like that?
Hell no. No. Hell no. We had the MWR and they were giving out free stuff all the time. We had what is it called? We had another yard that were giving out supplies, right? For free. Like, they literally like Rippets, jerky, chips. Oh, I hate Rippets, by the way. It's a form of energy drinks. That's PTSD on its own right there.
Oh,
they're not good. They're not good.
No, they're disgusting. And then if anybody wants to try them, you can go find them at a 99-cent store or the Dollar Tree.
That's the only place you really can find them.
Yeah,
they're there for a reason.
Exactly.
But no, MWR was giving stuff for free all the time. I mean, you can go inside the PX or the NEX for the Navy. They call them the NEX, and you can go buy energy drinks, but there are not $22 an energy drink. Yeah, somebody was ripping you off if you were paying $22 for an energy drink.
So, about how big are one of these convoys?
Most of them comprise of a minimum 4 trucks, 4 armored Humvees with weapons on them, and it could be anywhere between 3 to 5 supply trucks in between each truck.
So these are decent sized convoys, then.
Yeah, they're very, very long. So when communication is always key, because we have flat tires and the supply trucks have flat tires, and they were foreign nationals who were driving the trucks. They weren't our guys. I think I've only escorted one time with the Air Force, and yeah, like it was horrible. No offense to like the Air Force, but you guys don't know how to talk on the radio. There's no radio etiquette at all. But yeah, so like I said, it was decent. It was a couple miles with these convoys, and if one breaks down, we're just sitting out there, literally.
You can take that with K. K's Air Force, so you can take that with K.
So No, like I've worked with a lot of airmen, and yeah, no.
I think Hawkeye takes the cake with working with airmen between the two of you. No,
No. I worked with Air
You didn't
Force
work for-
officers,
oh, officers. Okay,
Oh.
never mind.
pilots.
He was air traffic control.
You know what though? Air Force officers are a lot more humble than I expected compared to like Army officers. Army officers always have like a chip on their shoulder where they have to prove something. They want to act like NCOs sometimes, and it's like, hey, take a step back.
Yeah.
Especially brand new lieutenants.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you just struck a chord there with me. Ow.
Sorry. It's like because I understand why they want to act like NCOs. They just came out of OCS. They just kind of bullock and stuff, and they're trained to be leaders. Well, you're a brand new lieutenant, right? So you're the bottom of the officer corps, just like a private would, right? So it's whatever officer stuff needs to be done. You're dealing with all that stuff, right? If the captain, the company commander wants stuff done, here you go. Here's a silver platter, right? It's the same thing with a private. It's the same with the private on the enlisted side, right? Hey, I need this done. I need that done. Bye. Go get it done, right?
You end up becoming real good at paperwork.
Yes, I don't envy that. I don't envy that at all. I've worked as a platoon sergeant / platoon leader at the same time on one of my ATs, and I hated it. Being in the field for 2 weeks as both, doing the operation side and the execution side sucks. Because I'm first one up. I wasn't normally the first one up in the morning, but I was always the last one going to bed because I'm the one coordinating, seeing where my troops are going to go, the here, there, and I'm like, oh, it's like, and then I had literally no other NCOs. They all got promoted, so they went to like all leadership schools, or they were COVID at the time. It was the COVID thing, so I was like the last NCO there, and I was like, guess what? You're going to be platoon sergeant, and my platoon leader, my PL, he was in Bullock at the time, so he wasn't there either.
Shit.
Oh.
So, like, how late were you up some of those nights then?
I would try to bed my guys down as soon as possible. It's so much easier to gather everybody and then give out information, but I'm an infantryman, so we work from the bottom up no matter what. So, and then also the way back down. So I was like, I had designated squad leaders who were not NCOs, and so I would give them info, and I'll be like, you need to pass this down to you guys, and none of them are going to bed until they get this information. Once they get this information, let them bed down. So I would I'd try to bed them down like no later than like probably 9:30. And I was going to bed probably around 10:45 to 11:30 at night. And we were all up around 6:30 in the morning. So, and then, that's just current rank. I'm still a corporal. I'm an E4. I chose family over Army. So I never went to a lot of the leadership school. Especially, it's people don't understand how much harder it is in the National Guard than it is on active duty. On active duty, you're paid the whole entire time. Your salary, right? So you can work out whenever you want. Most times morning PT, or you're released by like 1400, and a lot of times they're like, all right, go do PT, right? We have early morning, probably 06 formation. They can cut you loose at 1400 and be like, all right, go do PT. I better see everybody at the gym and you better be checked in, right? And that's a lot of the guys who are active duty that I've met through like boot camp and all that. But in the reserves, like, you got to do PT on your own. You got to find the time to do PT on your own. And when I had knee surgery, oh man, that sucked so bad. I was at the heaviest of my life. I was super overweight. I mean, I was running 23-minute 2 miles just because I just couldn't get the speed back up after knee surgery. So
you did better than me.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, there's give and take, right? If you have a career already as a reservist, then you're balanced already with civilian life, family life, and military life. But if you're struggling with no job and you're young and especially in 2000, when I came back in 2008, it was a recession and it was hard to find a job. It was ridiculous to find a job. And then when I held my first daughter, corporal and a specialist. Sorry, I'm reading your chat also at the same time. Unemployed, trying to stay in shape. I chose family. I was working out on my first deployment. I was going to go try out for Green Berets because we have a unit here in California for special forces that's on the National Guard side. And I was going to try out until I met my wife. Yeah, I met my wife. We were already, 15 months in over there, and they asked everybody who wants to extend voluntarily, right? And you got a choice of 3, 6, 9, 12. And I was all like, I got nothing back home. I'm going to extend for another, let's say 9 months. I was going to do 9 to 12 months. And they were like, all right. They put my name down, but no orders, no paperwork was like official to make it legitimate. And then I came home on leave and I met my wife and we started dating. And then I went back out there and they were like, all right, hey, private saying like, you still want to extend out here? And I was like, let me get back to you, Sergeant. So talked to my girlfriend at the time. She's like, you make me want to cry. If you want to stay out there, I'm like, crap. crap. So I ended up not extending. I came back home. I had a purpose to come back home now. Girlfriend turned into my wife. Wife got pregnant. Held my first daughter. And when I held my first daughter, I said, I'm going to try to do the best I can to be greatest dad for you. I was like really into drinking a lot, back in like high school and in going into the army and everything. And then when I turned 21, I had my daughter and I cut back on the drinking. I said, I never want to be the alcoholic dad to, abuse my kids. And I've had friends that had those dads. And I'm like, I'm never going to be one of those. I don't want to be one of those. And, if somebody's struggling with alcohol and everything, get the help because it can really tear up a family.
All right. So we're going to ask post question and then I have one to ask you. But so can you explain to some of the listeners the difference between a corporal and a specialist? Because apparently in books, they have the same rank.
So pay grade wise, they're the same. They're E4, right? A specialist so corporal and specialist derives from old army, right? If you were combat MOS, you were a corporal as an E4. If you were non-combat at the time, like AKA a mechanic, right? Then you would be a specialist because you specialize in whatever MOS you were in. When we became an army of one, remember that slogan back in the day? They took that away. They merged all the ranks together. So it used to be like specialist 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then they merged everything together, especially when they separated from the Army Air Corps. When the Air Force created and everything, they separated that and they kind of like merged all the ranks together. So a corporal is an NCO. He's a junior enlisted, right? He's working his way to become a sergeant and he still has, the responsibilities of an NCO. I mean, he's at the bottom, but he shouldn't be looked at any different. I know in the Marine Corps, like if you were a corporal, you're a dog. It's like literally sergeants and staff sergeants be like, hey, go bark. That means go take charge. No. Go take charge. You're an NCO. Have fun. And they would run the show. They would run ranges. They would do this and they would do that because they're at the bottom of the barrel and they need the experience. Me as a very, very seasoned soldier / corporal, I still have sergeants that come to me and ask me for advice sometimes. I'm a team player. I don't care if you're a sergeant, staff sergeant. If you need help, I'm here. At the end of the day, we all work together and we need to get the job done.
Oh, yeah.
So real quick before you ask your question, I kind of have a follow-on to this one. So out of the two, from the differences that you listed, what would you prefer to be? Would you prefer to be corporal where you are or specialist where you don't really have the the NCO duties?
For me, it made no difference. Right? I was a specialist at the time, and my squad leader, because I was a team leader as a specialist, and my squad leader would always get drafted to do something else. So so I would always be, hey, a specialist saying, go, I need you to take charge of the squad. Hey, specialist, he would text me literally like, hey, specialist saying, I won't be at drill this 3-day weekend, so you're going to be in charge. Given stripes afterwards, when they kind of like, the rules are still changing in the Army right now, like who gets corporal and who doesn't and all that. And they gave me corporal, and I told them nothing's changed. It just means that I can fight a little harder for you now. It just means when I go into meetings, they will take me not as serious because I'm at the bottom of the barrel, but they can take me with some seriousness now because they can look at stripes instead of a shield.
So, out of your years of being in the military, what is the weirdest thing you've seen or heard in your time with your service?
The weirdest thing I've heard goes back into Fort Benning. Oh, I'm gonna laugh about it again. So, being in barracks, right? There's 4 platoons, so there's 4 levels. There's second floor, and a third floor, and then each platoons are in the like a U-shaped barrack. Well, the platoon across from us had, would always try to sneak in contraband, whether it be snacks, pornography, tobacco, any of that stuff. I mean, not really alcohol. That you're really stupid for trying to sneak in alcohol because you could just smell it. But like tobacco, people dip, people spit. Cigarettes, not really, because we didn't really get lighters, and you could smell cigarettes from a mile away. But the funniest one I heard was chunky peanut butter. And a drill sergeant was doing a shakedown, caught one of the soldiers in their lockers of chunky peanut butter and a Penthouse magazine. So that's probably the weirdest thing I've heard, and that word was going around the whole company.
It doesn't belong there.
And then we just kept asking ourselves how wouldn't that hurt? It's chunky.
Doesn't belong there.
Chunky, there's pieces of peanuts. It's rigid. What were you doing? You were just eating and jerking off at the same time? I don't want to no. Well, that's just weird.
Alone is just fucking weird.
So that's probably the weirdest thing I've heard. The weirdest thing I've seen, and this happened twice. I don't know why this happened, but it involves shit. So it recently happened about 2 years ago in a Porta-John, and then it happened while I was at Fort Benning again. Somebody took shit and smeared it all over the walls.
My first retail. I've seen this too many times in working at gas stations.
But that's retail. So yeah, that's retail. So you have random people. You may have mentally challenged people.
Ours are druggies. Ours are druggies.
Druggies, mentally, 5150s, or you could have children because toddlers play with.
But
right?
This is grown men in the military.
We're all grown men and women. On a couple years ago, we're grown men and women, and the battalion. And it just so happened the battalion commander walked into that Porta-John, was like, "What the fuck? Why is there shit all over the Porta-John?" It was, and so we were at Pendleton, and we were by the beach. And everybody became a sugar cookie that day. Yeah, it was, and it was right before we went home. It was literally the end of our field time, so everybody became a sugar cookie. And then with the other one that happened in Fort Benning, drill sergeants found out, even though we cleaned it and they didn't see it, but they found out, they heard word of it. Right? We don't know if somebody from a different platoon came down into our barracks and did it, or one of our own guys did it. But it was that's disgusting. Why? Why would you play with your own shit and smear it all over the walls? But we cleaned it. But soldiers are dumb, and they open their mouths They opened their mouths, told the drill sergeants. Drill sergeant found out. So we had extra fire guard watching the toilets.
Did you guys ever find out who the person was? No.
Good old
Neither
TNA.
neither time we found out who it was. So
Fuck, man.
yeah, that's the weirdest thing I've seen. Per se, it involves shit.
Of course it does.
I would definitely have to agree. That would be really weird to see.
Yeah.
It's just you're not army and you're playing with your human feces.
So
grown ass men and women want to play with doo doo. I don't get it.
So for listeners out there, you've mentioned a couple different times that you have roughly 17 years in service as it stands right now.
Yes.
Do you have any plans for after you retire?
Just being a dad, still working. You know, I want my wife to pursue her career that she wants. We had another child 2 years ago. So she was going to pursue her career a little bit earlier, but she can't now because she's at home taking care of the kids. Yeah. And, you know, and she made a good point. Like, this is one of the struggles of like being in the reserve, right? She says, yeah, I can go back to work right now and you could be at home dad. But what's going to happen when you have the longer than just a weekend? So anybody who's been in the National Guard or the reserves, it's never just 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer. Never. It's always 3 to 4 day drills. Like this upcoming drill I have, it's 4 days long. It's Thursday through Sunday, right? And then when AT comes, it's 15 days long. And she said, so when you have those days, I'm going to have to take vacation time or sick time. So because I have to watch the kids now while you're not here. Right? So she's all like, so I'm burning my vacation, especially during AT. I'm going to have to burn it all. So what's the point? What's the point of going back to work? Yeah, what's the point if we're not going to have any vacation time to spend with the family and everything?
Well,
if you're just
how?
Gone?
She's burning like that. She might not even have enough to use.
Yeah, she's going to have to LWOP, which is leave without pay. And like I said, it's just one of those struggles where I was like, yeah, you're right. Okay. Like, keep staying home. I'm going to go and keep working then. So, cause I love my kids, you know, I love my kids. I mean, hell, look at this. I just drove freaking 15 minutes early in the morning after only getting 4 hours of sleep to get my daughter's Mario Kart 8 off her offer. and then I went to the gym afterwards because I was like, I'm not going back to sleep. You know, I love the hell out of my kids. And, you know, if I could be a full-time dad, I would. And so, you know, I wanted to be a full-time dad already. I told my wife several times, I'm like, I have no problem you being the breadwinner. It's 2022. I have no problem with that. You know, I will not feel less of a man. So you be the breadwinner. I mean, she said it. She's all like, if I go back to work, you're still going to have to deal with the numbers. I'm like, that's fine. I handle all the finances right now. And she's like, you still have to deal with all the numbers. I'm like, that's fine. But I'd rather be home. So hence why I said I chose family over army for the most part. I still did my duties, right? I just didn't do anything extra to like pursue more of my army career. So that's the ups and downs side of it.
To add on to the reserves, what was like the trying to figure out the adapting point between switching from normal army into the reserves? Like, how hard was that adjustment?
Pretty hard. Like I said, like, you have to find your own career, you have to find your own job. You know, it's not like you're living at the barracks or you're getting BAH and you're on a salary. You know what money's coming in. With being on the civilian side, unless you're with a steady career already, you won't know what's coming in. So I was on unemployment, and it was President Bush at the time, and he was giving a lot of extensions. And then when I came back from my second deployment, I was still on unemployment, and President Barack Obama cut the extensions pretty bad. So unemployment initially, when you come back from a deployment, it's only 8 months long. You have 8 months to look for a job, and
That's not a lot, especially in today's economy.
no, it's not. So yeah, you have 8 months of that, and then you have one extension. I believe it's 4 months. So you have pretty much 1 year of unemployment, and that was through President Barack Obama. But President Bush, he gave you up to 2 years, especially during the recession. Like, I am so thankful and grateful for him for that. But with President Barack Obama, he cut it. So I was pretty desperate at the time when it came like on my first extension, and I was like scrambling. I was basically ready to work at McDonald's again, which I didn't want to do, but I was like, I need the income. I was ready to do that. I was ready to go on any type of orders. Being on the reserve side, like, that's the benefit, is like you always request going on different orders to do extra missions when it comes to that. So I was ready to do anything at that point, and then luckily I landed a job doing aerospace security, and I paid pretty decent. And so
Yeah.
So that's probably like the hardest transition. It's getting a job. I know that they're helping a lot of people PCSing or ETSing, should I say, who are getting out. And I know they're like, hey, look for a job before you get out. You can start applying to here and there. I know, like, if it's in like within local of the base itself, they'll give you time off while you stay without taking leave to go do interviews. It's a lot around the local area. My wife has a friend. Her husband's a retired Marine, and he went up to Maine before he even got out and got a job there.
We have another question from Pool.
Yes.
Wait, or was one way? What is that country?
All right, so I'll read the question. So I was qualified as a 240 Bravo gunner, and the Deuce and the 19 as a gunner on an MRAP. Out of all weapon platforms you could deploy, which was your favorite?
240 Bravo, hands down. My bread and butter, my baby. My squad leader was a prior Marine as a 0331 machine gun specialist, I believe. And how dirty it got, how clean it got, my 240 never failed me. Every single test fire is shot. I was one of my gun trucks was involved in a firefight. I was in the ASV and my 50 wouldn't fire. I was loading it. I was doing through all the steps, and to come to find out, it's a mechanical switch on the ASV for the 50 cal to shoot, and all it was one plug need to be pushed in. And that's the type of error that I don't like from the ASV. It's like, if you're not constantly maintaining all that stuff, which is not really one of the checks as a gunner, you're primarily making sure all the ammo's there, you make sure it's loaded right, you make sure that, everything's functioning. And then if you press the button, you hear the click, right? As when the weapon's empty. So, but yeah. Oh, it definitely headspace and timing was a pain in the ass. I still have my headspace and timing gauge that I took as a souvenir. But my 240, hands down. I love my 240. And then if it was a rifle, I would say the M16A4. I got to shoot that while I was at Fort Benning, and no recoil at all. One of my drill sergeant was so impressed. I've never shot a rifle in my life until I joined the Army. And one of my groupings, all 3 bullets touched each other. That's how nice the grouping was. My first sergeant took that rifle and shot it off his nuts. He was like, look at this. Has no recoil. I don't want any excuses why none of you should qualify. So, So, but hands down, 240. 240 is so reliable. I know it transitioned from the M2 and also the M62. They had. I looked into it. I researched it a little bit. The M62 had a cyclet fire that was slightly faster, but the 240 was still more reliable, even though it shot a little slower.
So, do you have any advice for someone wanting to go into the Army?
So I just talked to a truck driver, and her son was a Marine recruiter. So, I mean, everything was everything's the same when it comes to joining each branch, right? Contracts are different, but the steps to joining each branch is the same. You got to take your ASVAB test. You got to go over the maps. You got to clear physical, psych, and all that, and health. But the difference, how when I joined to now, is whatever you have on your childhood medical history, they're going to look into it now. It's not safe anymore. Prior, we were able to join, and they were like, did you have childhood asthma? Did you have anything, any injuries while you were younger, this and that we should know about? And you could just flat out lie and say no. I had one of my soldiers who was allergic to bees, right? The bee sting, and that's a big disqualifier in the military. He still got in because he lied. He's all like, "Oh, I was allergic when I was a child." But a lot of the new recruiters now, they're allowing them to go into your childhood medical history. So my advice is, if you are asthmatic, if you are allergic to certain things, I wouldn't recommend it then. You could try still, not discourage you not to try, but just know that they're going to go into that now. What other stuff? I mean, common sense, big common sense. Don't go in there headstrong, right? You are at the bottom of the barrel. You are a civilian becoming soldier, Marine, airman, blah, 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 blah. So there's always somebody there, bigger, badder, stronger. You should go there and just do your best, right? So stay in shape and do your best.
So real quick, you at the beginning of the podcast, you spoke about advice that you were giving for people that have been in like the reserves or anything in that facet that have been in for a while.
Yeah.
I want to take a different approach real quick and see if you have any advice. It could be for active side or reserve side on people that are just not quite sure if they want to make it a career.
So the pension is gone. Let's get that out of the way. There is no more pension in the military. They took that away back in 2016. So anybody joining from 2017 and on, there's no more pension. I'm still grandfathered into my pension. So everybody needs to know that. Now it's under the TSP, which is like a 401k on the civilian side. TSP is the 401k on the federal side. It's more of a TSP now, right? If you're looking to make a career out of it, I would say do it. If your body can handle it, if you can mentally stay in it, stay in it. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, don't beat yourself over it. Right? I've told many veterans who they don't like Veterans Day when all the freebies are given out. They hate it. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, look, I don't care what you did in the past. I don't care what happened, in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, whatever. We are celebrating the fact that you are the small percentage and had the bravery, the courage to raise your right hand and join. Right? Or you could be a veteran who did absolutely nothing. We still thank you, no matter what. I still thank you. Right? I know many people will still thank you for raising your right hand and doing what you had to do.
Because at the same time, you joined in full well knowing that you could be in that position.
Exactly. Don't beat yourself up for what happened and what you did. Right? And if it's a money thing, right? They're like, oh, I don't want to take money from other people and everything. It's a tax write-off for all these companies, right? Applebee's, CPK, they give you all these freebies and everything. You really think you're taking their money away? No, it's tax write-off for them. And everybody knows that, right? So when people thank you as a veteran, not necessarily thanking you for whatever happened in Iraq, whoever you killed or whatever you did. They're not thanking you for that. They're thanking you for taking the oath, for raising your right hand and putting on the uniform. It's as simple as that, right? Because, there's always that possibility that anytime, boom, war. We had a scare last year, right? At the end of February, the end of January, February, right? When Russia invaded Ukraine, we had a scare that we were going to send troops out there again to fight in the cold, super cold, right? and that can happen at any time. So to all my current soldiers and military personnel, and to all my veterans out there, take it with a grain of salt. They're here to thank you for serving, and that's like thanking you for what you've done in the service.
Yeah. That's really well said.
Thank you.
That is really well said. In post production, I might actually take that and make a little soundbite out of it.
Oh, by all means.
So do you have any favorite basic training moments?
Favorite basic training moments? I have a funny basic training moment. So not one of my favorites, but funny. So Fort Benning is in Georgia, and I left to Georgia in August, which is the hottest, most humid time of the year. And I am from the West Coast. I am in Southern California, right? We don't get humidity like Georgia does. Mm-mm. Hence why I don't ever want to own or live in the South anymore, because I hate humidity at 80% and above. Flat out. And so I remember we rucked out to an obstacle course, and we spent most of the morning there. Around probably 1500, we had to come back. Right, we ate lunch out there and everything, and then about 1500, which is 3:00 for all my civilians, we came back, but we got smoked before we came back because everybody was lollygagging, because everybody was just so happy from the obstacle course, and it was lots of fun. But we were lollygagging, and we were just taking our time getting all our stuff back on. Drill sergeant smoked us with everything on: rucksack, flak, weapon, everything, helmet, and we got smoked. And then we had to ruck back to our barracks.
Shit.
In 90% humidity, and I believe it was like 98 degrees. So it felt like 111, probably. The hottest time. By the time we got back to the barracks, they told us, everybody has to stop in front of the company, right? In front of the barracks, because we have to clear our weapons inside the clearing barrel. Well, we marching, and they told us to halt. We stopped. I couldn't stop. I was so hot. I couldn't stop. If I stopped, I would have passed out. My first experience of like true humidity and heat in the South. I just couldn't stop. So like if there was ever video information, you probably see me like just like small trots with my head bobbing while the rest of the formation was stopped. And I just couldn't stop. It was just too hot. So I cleared my weapon. I went upstairs, and there's AC in our barracks, and like everything melted off of me. My ruck and my IBA, I just ripped it all off. And the first thing I did, I undid my pants and just dropped it, and all the heat just came out of my pants. And I was like, I took a deep breath, fell back on my lockers, and I fell down a little bit. And I'm like, God damn, I've never felt this kind of exhaustion. I played football in high school, went through Hell Week when it was, hot as hell in the summer, but I've never experienced something like this. And I talked to a couple of my buddies there, and they were like, oh, welcome to the South. That's right. You're a Cali boy. You don't know what true humidity is. and that was also like my first experience when I landed in Georgia. It was nighttime. I got off the bus at 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, why is it still so hot out? I was like, why is it still so hot? It's like, I don't understand. It's like, it's nighttime. So that I don't like humidity. You'll never see me in the South on purpose, unless it's like for work. I would never have like leisure going to the South. Maybe Florida would be the closest thing I'll go to. That's because of like, Disney World, Universal Studios and all that. Yeah. But not a fan of the South.
I don't like heat. I love cold. I hate heat. And humidity.
I don't mind heat. I've been in dry heat, and dry heat is not too bad. Mm-hmm. Right? But I can't stand humidity.
I can't stand, yeah.
That state is the worst. You know what? Who is that?
K. That's K.
Yeah. Call him K.
Okay, K. There's actually a worse spot, and that's Florida. No, Mississippi. I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna say Mississippi was worse.
Is that Paul?
We trained out of Camp Shelby, Mississippi, and I think it hit 100% humidity one day. And I remember I walked out maybe not even an eighth of a mile to go drop off something to my commander. And I walked back and I was drenched.
Coldest in Mississippi.
Yeah. And it's the first time I experienced like rain coming and you could hear it and see it. Pool said Shelby is a fucking joke. So yeah, Camp Shelby sucks. So, but you could literally like see the rain coming at you. And I'm looking at it like I can literally see rain coming at me. This is ridiculous. Sure enough, it poured on us. We had like a little dugout of grass and everything, and it became a small moat. Like frogs were jumping out of it. I guess there's like a little sewer there. And it rained so hard for 35 minutes and it just stopped. So I tell everybody, I'm like, you never experienced rain until you've been in the South. That's true rain.
And there was at one point when I was in Alabama, I used to be able to set my watch by the thunderstorms in the summer.
See?
All right, Paul, hop in here. I'm gonna fuck up the overlay, but sure.
I love all these questions. I love this awareness. Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and stop this bullshit and talk about Camp Shelby. Oh,
damn.
Go ahead and stop this bullshit and talk about Camp Shelby. Oh,
damn.
We hear your audio.
You literally have a spot that is supposedly set up to imitate Iraq.
No. Well, I don't think Camp Shelby was imitating Iraq. Camp Shelby was like imitate like Vietnam.
Well, no, I agree, and that's where I was going with this. So you've got Connex boxes, you've got the multiple places where you're supposed to have like the shops, the gas station, this, that, and the other. But you're driving around in an MRAP or a Humvee or whatever it is as your gunship, in 119 degree humidity, and then all of a sudden they spring everything on you, and it's like 1,000% bullshit. I mean, if you go out on the south side of Camp Shelby, where you go into what they call the free zone, which is you have a military zone. And you have a military plus hunter zone.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, at that time, I was a czar for the training exercise. So I was the one driving around, make sure everyone was like following the rules of the road, this, that, and the other. Yeah. The only problem is you army fuckers didn't sit there and follow the rules of the road. So I'd see a GSA vehicle and I'd be like, oh, probably mine. This guy's going down a road that is quote unquote 25 miles an hour. The motherfucker's doing 65 miles an hour down the road. And I have to be the police. So I throw lights, sirens, and chase this fucker for like 7.5 miles. And I pull up to another, quote unquote Shelby spot. I'm not going to give it away. But I pull up and I jump out of the truck and I've got, my ticket book, this and the other. I'm a Navy fucking, license examiner. I can ticket you. Your Army doesn't mean shit. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, dude, there's like literally 450 people in a battalion that you just drove through. Army guy. They said drive really fast.
Oh, wow, that's funny.
I'm literally sitting there with a ticket book going, how the fuck do I justify this?
This is a good question.
So I can verify that because we didn't know what mission we were going to be fully doing in Iraq, and so we trained on everything. whether it be, clearing houses, convoy security. And when we did the convoy security part, I believe we were told not to speed, but they said treat it as if we were in country already. And so we sped.
Yeah, so you went through what we call checkpoint 13, which would be Agram gas station, straight line.
Oh yeah, and we're flying.
Yeah, you're flying, and all of a sudden there's fucking white smoke everywhere.
Oh, the dust in Camp Shelby is so bad. I'm really surprised. Like none of us got in an accident. Most of the drivers had a lot of common sense to slow down.
We did the most horrible thing. We were running around. We had a night off, and all of a sudden we saw smoke. And of course, CBs were like, "Oh, fire! Let's go play." So we drove toward it. All of a sudden, there was 135 Bradleys coming over the hill, puffing smoke on the backside. I'm in a 1998 Dodge Ram, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" I 100% flipped the vehicle, and the Bradleys are just like, if we hit you, good luck. And the worst thing was the two fucking Ospreys running over us. You could tell the pilots were like, I'm 100% filming this.
Wow.
It was kind of one of those soundbite moments. It was at this moment.
Oh, 100. No. I'll tell you the worst moment at Camp Shelby, and that I'm sorry to butt in. But we went on a drive, and we had Rangers out on the site, and they were just like, what are you doing? We're like, we're military, we're CBs, we're trying to get to the next spot. And he was like, go ahead. So we came over a bunker at Camp Shelby. All of a sudden, we realized that the targets behind us, they were vehicles and they were tanks. We were on the tank range.
Oh.
We were free balling on a tank range.
Oh, that's not good.
So my chief looks at me, he was like, you better not fucking kill me, drive. And I'm like, I'm gunning this fucking Dodge. It's in, August in Camp Shelby. So everything's fucking soaked. So we're bogging down. And I finally looked at my chief and I was like, fuck you. I jumped out of the truck and ran. Chief ran, behind me. He was like, I swear to God, if we fucking live through this, I'm going to kill you. Turns out, not a tank on the range.
Oh,
they were running already 3.5 miles back.
Oh, it sounds like North Fort Hood. Have you ever been in North Fort Hood? There's actually a part of the highway that literally has a sign that says, "Warning. Be careful driving through here. Artillery training could be artillery or tank training could be in progress."
Yeah, they have that in Camp Shelby on the backside.
Yeah, and I'm reading that sign at North Fort Hood. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, this is a civilian road, and you just have these random signs out. Like, you don't have somebody guarding it or something. If it's in training, like, wow.
Just a sign up. Potentially, be careful. Could get shot by tank.
Oh no! The best one, and I'm sure you saw it at Camp Shelby. If you went deep enough in, it said that it was a World War II range ordnance not yet exploded.
No, I don't think we ever went that far.
Yeah.
Oh God. I mean, it was like MR 13 and above. Everything above like 13 was considered just like free ordnance.
Ooh. I'm happy we didn't go that way then.
But we had an entire battalion bed down, like literally in 12. So they were doing, digging fire positions, this, that, and the other, crew serve weapons, everything else like that. And then we finally got a call back from the fire chief, and he was like, you guys should not be there.
Ooh. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, why? I was in charge of, one of the assault teams. And I'm like, why not? And they were like, so we haven't cleared that shit of World War II ordnance.
What?
Yeah.
I'm speechless on that one.
Yeah, at that point, I called COC and I was just like, sir, are you aware you're in a position where? And he came back. He was like, oh no, we're fully aware because we just dug a fighting position and we're holding a fucking MR2. And I'm like, oh, so are you moving? And he was just like, no, we're good.
No, we're good. We're good. Just some World War II mines. We're good.
I mean, it's 140 millimeter round, but fuck it. We'll just dig in.
Yeah. No, we're good.
No, I'm not okay with that.
No, 100%. I'm not either.
No.
When my lieutenant was like, go attack the front line, I was like, no, fuck you.
Oh, yeah. Could you imagine if somebody did die? It would be all hell would break loose.
Well, I mean, I went to school
right there.
Lost in the Woods, Missouri. Army, Air Force, Marines, this, that, and the other. And we were on the dozer pit where, I mean, literally we go front to back with a dozer and just skim the ground to learn how to, actually, level the ground.
Okay.
So we found out.
Have you ever found anything doing that?
We found out that site was a World War II ordnance site. So what happens? The Air Force literally finds from one of their dozer operators a grenade. They pull it out of the ground. There is 16 Air Force circle playing fucking hacky sack with a live World War II grenade.
So,
of course. What
common sense in her body?
I don't know what happened, but like you said earlier, we called EOD. 3 hours later, EOD showed up.
What?
8 hours later, they disposed of the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
But we couldn't fucking leave. And the rest of us are looking at the Air Force like, you dumb cunts. I swear to God, I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
You guys couldn't leave?
No, we couldn't leave because at that point, according to them, everybody could be exposed.
Oh, okay.
It's a fucking grenade.
Yeah, that's just weird.
Yeah. So, I mean, oh, good Lord.
Exposed?
Hey, if you're still in chat, fuck you, Air Force.
Exposed because grenades back in the day were made with different things. You could be exposed.
Oh, true.
They were made with 100% fucking mercury.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. When it happened, I was running a D5 dozer. Wasn't even anywhere near it when this shit went off.
Kay said, "Eat a whole bag of dicks, you Davy turd."
Oh, Kay, you're getting a fucking president, you little bitch.
That's typical.
Yeah, this happens every time. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna back out of chat. Brother, you know what? As a fellow fucking convoy guy, and bro, I love you.
I love you too, man. Yeah, convoy security is long. It's a long. I think my longest mission was 36 hours. It's just back-to-back breakdowns of people having flat tires and then roads going black. So out there, when the road goes black, that means something either blew up or something's about to blow up. I mean, because the whole entire time the roads are red. Red means possibility of anything. And so when the roads go black, you're not supposed to move. So if we get lucky and we get stuck at the border and the roads go black in Iraq, we don't move. We stay at the border and we take a nap. But if you're out already and the roads go black, you're supposed to stop. So, I mean, I think that was in the beginning of our operation, we stopped because the roads went black and we literally just sat for 36 hours. Not 36 hours, but the whole entire mission was 36 hours. Literally saw the sun go down, come back up, go back down, and partially come back up again.
Jesus Christ.
So
in between, I was a driver at the time. In between, you just see me on my steering wheel, just passed out, and then I wake up like 10 minutes later, look around, look at my sectors, and then pass back out again, and then wake back up, look at my sectors. Yeah, it was a very, very long mission. It was a good experience. That's how I should say it.
You're gonna say something, Hawkeye?
So this is kind of just out of curiosity because it's something that my wife has started noticing, and two that I've noticed a couple times before is the ability to sleep anywhere, practically on command.
Oh, as an infantryman, you learn to sleep anywhere. Like cat naps are lifesavers. So I've fallen asleep standing up when I was at boot camp in School of Infantry. Literally just in parade dress, just slightly knocked out for a couple minutes until I almost fell over. I remember taking a knee, and then with my rifle and using my front sight, I kind of like hooked it into my Kevlar, and I kind of like fell asleep like this while taking a knee. And then drill sergeant finally notices I fell asleep, and he's tickling my nose with a piece of grass. And I'm thinking it's one of my other guys messing with me. Nope, he was messing with me when I opened my eyes. Hey, go ahead, you know what to do. And I was knocking out push-ups.
So obviously, in training, they tell you don't sleep, whatever you do, don't sleep. And the human body is the human body.
Yeah.
What is the most interesting experience you've had waking up out of one of these cat naps, aside from the drill sergeant tickling with the blade of grass?
So interesting wake up. One moment was you feel like you're asleep for a long time. Like when I came home after my deployment, I was on the ground, like laying down, taking a nap. And my roommate's girlfriend was all like, "All right, catch you later." I'm like, "All right, bye." She walked out, and I fell asleep. And I was having a dream, and at what felt like a solid hour, 2 hours. And then I jumped out of my sleep. And then she walks back in. He's like, "Oh, I forgot something." I'm like, "How long was I out?" She's like, "I just came back." I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" Like I felt like I was out for a while, and I couldn't nap after that. Like I felt like I had a long nap, and I was like fully energized again. One of my drill sergeants who like joined us later, he just got done with Ranger School, and he said they sleep deprive you so bad at Ranger School. And he said this is his story. He said he was on a ruck. They stopped, took a knee, and they were waiting. He said what happened? What ended up happening was he saw a little fairy come down, and each person that she was tapping with her wand, they would fall asleep. They would fall asleep. And when she finally got to him and she was about to tap him, they're like, "Move out." And he woke up and started walking. Started road marching again. I was like, damn. Like that's like you didn't even realize you fell asleep. That's crazy. Yeah, he was just, pulled security on the side of the road. Next thing you know, he woke up and moved on again. So sleep deprivation training is pretty intense. I was doing it for myself for a while. Having kids doesn't help either when they're crying and when they're little. So sleep deprivation definitely came in handy with that one. But training wise, you can get on average when you're in the field, you're only getting about 4 to 6 hours of sleep. The rest of the time you're doing something, or you can be resting, but probably not napping.
All right. So what is your favorite and least favorite MRE?
Everybody will say the least favorite is the omelet. It is so bad. It is so bad. Hot or cold, with hot sauce, with seasoning. It is the most disgusting piece of sponge brick you will ever eat in your life. I don't know anybody who likes that thing. Anybody.
We're looking chat.
See? Vegan omelet is really?
Look in chat.
I want a video of you going to the surplus store, getting one, and eating it in front of me. No sauce, no heating it up, no nothing. Prove it. Prove it is the best.
Ice is the only man that I have met in fucking existence that likes it.
Oh, like sorry, bro. Like you need to get your taste buds checked.
You do it live on the stream.
When did you do it the first time?
My God.
And when was the first time, Ice?
Oh, that's so nasty. Oh, the omelet is just the worst.
So what's your favorite?
The rib. I say the rib patty. Like the because it came with barbecue sauce and 2 pieces of bread. I'm gonna say the rib patty was probably my favorite. They don't make it anymore, but I'm gonna say the rib patty because I love barbecue sauce. So whether I eat it hot or cold was nasty because you see like chunks of oil on it and everything. You don't heat it up, but the barbecue sauce always made it better. And it was either that or the hamburger because they both came with barbecue sauce or spicy ketchup.
That is probably one of the very few times that we've actually gotten the rib. Or
I think that's the only time we've gotten a rib.
Yeah, I know people are always like, oh, the chicken noodle or the chili mac.
Biggest chili mac. Biggest is chili mac.
You know, I am not a fan of like MRE that has like tomato based stuff in it. Because they have like tortellini now in it, like cheese tortellini. I remember they had that for a while. The only one that was pretty decent, but they don't make it anymore because you get like explosive diarrhea from it, even though MREs normally clog you up. But it's the spicy penny pasta, which was a vegetarian one. And that wasn't too bad once you heat it up and you kind of like spiced it up and everything, do what you got to do. It wasn't too bad, but the after effects was terrible. Oh,
I was always partial to buffalo chicken.
I'm not a big buffalo guy. So like the buffalo chicken was there and I think I traded it most of the time because spicy penny pasta just tormented me after that. I didn't want to have like the explosive diarrhea, explosive craps while I was in the field and I couldn't, or I was back in the barracks and we were in training and I couldn't go use the latrine or something.
So we've reached that time to where around it, you can flip the tables and access if you have any questions or not.
Do I have any questions?
Yes. It's around the time where you can flip the table onto us. If you have any.
Okay. So you guys didn't ask me this. You guys asked me a lot about my jobs and everything. If you can go back and change, for you, Rex, if you could join the military and whatever job you want to do, what would you do?
That's a tough one because I don't really know a lot about the job. So obviously I hear a shit ton of the jobs on the podcast and different things about it. But
I mean, you heard from ex-military man. He was a canine handler.
I know,
which a canine handler for the Air Force. So he was not special forces.
I've heard
security
a lot
force.
of different.
Yeah, security force as a canine handler.
Honestly, mine would probably be security force though, because I've been trying to get into security IRL already. So if I were to actually pick something similar to like law enforcement or security force, because law enforcement, I was originally going to go into law enforcement, and then I learned in Minnesota how long it takes to get into law enforcement. You need like 6 years of college in Minnesota. I was like, yeah, fuck that.
Even here in California, some departments require like an AA or a bachelor's.
So
just apply.
And originally I was going to enlist, but then IRL stuff come up, and then I was going back and forth between I don't know if I would be able to with my AznMan shit. So originally I was going to enlist, but then I never did. Basically, kind of deal.
He says he can't find an omelet to buy online. Just try surplus stores. Try the mom and pop shop surplus stores, especially in the South.
Paul has plenty that he doesn't want.
You know, they found a whole entire Connex full of veggie omelet. And that's when the military said, oh, I think we should probably get rid of this one. It took them to find that.
Yeah, Paul has 14 cases of MRE, so he can find one for you guys.
Yeah. How about you, Hawkeye? I don't even know what you did in the military.
I was an air traffic control specialist.
Oh, air traffic controller. Yeah. So if you could go back and you could change your MOS, and what would you pick? Or maybe a different branch.
Oh, if it's a different branch, then I still think I made my best decision in going in the Army.
Okay.
Army gave me a lot of good footings, so to speak, to develop myself and actually footings, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yes, fool. Footings, so to speak.
Yeah. I know pulls backwards. I hear Hawkeye. It's Echo.
So to speak.
I know pulls backwards. I hear Hawkeye. It's Echo. I mean, Dead Sea plus Echo.
Army and flew helos. Being colorblind, I wasn't able to fly. Oh, that sucks.
Dead Sea.
Yeah. They're super strict on color flight status.
But if I had to say on a different job, I was actually offered 2 different jobs when I signed up. I was offered air traffic control or behavioral health specialist.
Oh. Yeah, that's 2 completely different jobs.
They were support jobs that could lead somewhere after the Army.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely.
I probably would have chose behavioral health specialist just because I'm knowing what I know now about the aviation units in the Army.
Right.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, Hawk. I think you picked the perfect spot for you. Now, let's talk about tonight because this shit's going to get fun.
While y'all do that, I'm going to go get myself a drink.
what are we talking about now?
I just Ans, I don't want to misrepresent yourself. So how do you want to be called?
Asian. I could be called Asian, man.
Asian. All right. Perfect.
So just let's say if anybody says, "Oh, I'm offended," he's racist and all that. So first of all, I am 100% Asian, right? I'm 2 types of Asian. I'm 100% Asian. I was born here in America. I am 100% American also.
100% suck a dick. I'm sorry. it's like the worst thing you can do. So brother, I'm not even going to say it because it doesn't need to be say. Thank you for doing this because it's been an absolute honor. Now let's get down to some fun shit.
I'm intrigued.
Welcome to pool.
So
The pool zone.
Rex's biggest question, and he asked it tonight, is the MRE question. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? But I will go on top of that. And Rex, thank you for the question. If you had the opportunity to mix a couple of the MREs to make the quote unquote,
I forgot I had a question.
meal.
I did ask that question one time.
Oh, that's interesting. Mix MREs. Oh, damn. That is an interesting one. Hold on. What MREs would I mix together?
You brought back a past question.
Like, seriously,
Okay.
5.
I said, so for me, it'd be like a two-parter, right?
Right.
If I had to mix 2 MREs together, like to survive because we were limited on food or we were like doing road marches and burning a lot of calories and everything, and especially in the cold, I would probably mix the spaghetti and the chili mac together.
Can we shoot ice? Just look what you put in chat. Can we just shoot them?
Shoot who?
Ice. Look what you put in chat.
He said lasagna and omelet.
No. Omelet shouldn't be anywhere on the fucking menu.
And then he said beef stew and omelet.
Can we shoot this man?
Oh, Jesus.
So with the beef stew, I mean, let's be honest. The mashed potatoes, you can mix that with anything. 100%.
I wasn't a big fan of mashed potatoes. They were just so grainy. And regardless of what you did to it, it was just I couldn't do it. For me, I would probably go with the chocolate pudding, right? Mix it, do it the Ranger way, right?
Yeah.
By putting a little bit of water, make it to like a pudding consistency, and then the cherry cobbler pie.
Oh, the cherry cobbler was fucking
Mhm.
disgusting. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But if you mixed it with a little bit of chocolate, it gave it that sweet tartness after that.
Actually, we found that the peanut butter and jalapeno,
What?
fucking phenomenal.
Okay, so
That's interesting.
It's a new one.
so as a disclaimer, I know this is going to be really hard to fathom.
Anything we say.
No. So as a disclaimer, I'm just going to give everybody a heads up. As an infantryman, it's hard for me to say this too, but I am not a fan of peanut butter. All my grunts, all my guys had it. They always either ate it right away or they put it in their pockets as a snack.
Yeah, one jerked off with it too.
Yeah. He loved it so much he put it on himself.
Let's not talk about that part.
But I am not a fan of peanut butter, and I think I would have to blame my mother for that because she's not from here, right? She's not from the United States.
Yeah,
so she would make me peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because that's what she sees from other people and everything. And she would always put too much peanut butter to jam when I was younger.
You were eating peanut butter and fucking flour.
Yeah, so I like Schmuckers. I could deal with Schmuckers when I'm craving like a peanut butter jelly sandwich,
right?
And because they put like a good scoop into it, and it's amazing. Mm-hmm. But I've been tormented with peanut butter just because it was so much peanut butter and not enough jam in my sandwiches growing up.
Are we talking like creamy peanut butter or like chunky?
She bought both.
Oh, that makes it worse.
Yeah, it was always she didn't know anything, so she just saw peanut butter and she grabbed it. So whether it be creamy or chunky.
And the nationality was?
We're Cambodian.
Oh, good Lord.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, she doesn't know much about that. So I was like, damn, like, because everybody else loves peanut butter, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't enjoy it like that.
Yeah, it's like peanut butter and soy sauce. Shit.
So like I was.
You can finish what you're
saying. I was constantly trading away my peanut butter. I was like, peanut butter, like, who got cheese? Who got that bacon cheese? Like,
give me bacon, jalapeno. I don't care what it is. Let's fucking go for it.
So to let everybody else who hated it, the fact that jelly and peanut butter was separate, all the MREs now come with peanut butter and jelly together now.
And I'm so glad I'm out.
What were you saying, Rex?
I was retired by the military, and I look at everything that's going on right now, and especially the fucking meals that they have to have. They've got some really good ones. They've got 3. And I look at everything else and I'm just like, oh, you know what? I can't do it anymore.
They even have pizza now.
They have tough fucking tacos.
I don't think I've ever gotten that one.
Yeah,
I think I've seen it.
They have like fajita tacos. And I'm just like, we did that back when like nobody knew what the meat was.
Oh, but I mean, back in the day, MRE was chicken fajita. It came with tortillas and everything. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, like the biggest one was like chicken fajitas, and then we did the tuna melt, and the only thing we wanted was the fucking tuna.
Yeah, it came in tuna packets. Actual, was it the Sunkiss tunas?
Yeah. And the Sunkiss and the tortillas, and they were like, "Oh no, we're good." And I was just sitting there, and I was just like my entire family is dying because like it's shit.
Yeah, I have a case of MREs just in case.
Yep.
Right, but it's not my go-to if I don't have to.
Well, I had the opportunity, and I cherish this moment for like literally the rest of my life. I had a family member that was just like, she's a huge supporter of military, is that and the other. And she was like, well, I want to do the MRE challenge at the time.
The cracker?
No, it was just like literally eating an MRE.
Oh, that's not a challenge. Like eating the crackers in 2 minutes with no water is a challenge.
Oh God, that'll kill you. There is no coming back from that.
Yeah, people have done it. So
oh, I know. And she was just like, I gave her, 4 pallets, and I was just like, find your case and find your number. And she was like, case number 4, box 16. Turned out it was the veggie omelet.
Oh.
So I cooked it according to, quote unquote, a military standard. And I handed it to her, and she took a bite, and she was good. She didn't do shit. And she grabbed the Tabasco, and she doused the entire bottle. And I mean, this woman came from California, so she's, kind of used to it. So she ate everything, and she looked at me and she went, "That's the worst thing I've ever tasted."
So Rex, you were trying to ask something a little bit.
I mean, this woman ate an entire MRE with like the Uber sauce on top of it. And I sat there and I looked at her and I was like, "Are you sure?" And she was like, "Well, it could be worse than what California can do." And I looked at her, I was like, "I'm deploying in like 72 hours. And she goes, "If you have to deploy with this, I feel sorry for you." And I'm like, welcome to my world.
I mean, they've debunked it already that people in prison get fed better than people in the military.
100%. Before I joined the military, I was on the side of the runners that were actually giving food to every truck that went out in Nevada. I was giving like slop to prisons. And then I was giving slop to, what they called military expectation. It was the same fucking thing. And I literally got back and I was just like, well, I mean, at the time, $11 an hour sounds really good. That lasted 3 weeks and I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore.
All right. So going back to the whole culture stuff and the whole Asian US stuff, what are the most interesting similarities that you found between Asian culture and US culture? And what's your and how was it learning both sides of the cultures at the same time growing up?
No similarities when it comes to the Asian culture and the US culture. I'm gonna say no similarities. I mean, at one point, because I'm a first generation here, at one point I like kind of despise my Asian culture just because how strict it was and how much pressure it puts on me. I'm pretty sure everybody hears the stereotype of like, oh, Asians are like, their parents are so hard on them, and it's true, 100% true, right? I didn't understand it until I became a parent, right? Why they were so strict. My family coming from the Khmer Rouge and everything, which is, a big genocide that happened over there. They were stripped the opportunity of going to school. That's why. And I understand now why it was so important to my mother. And, but how strict they were, it's ridiculous how strict we are. Like I tell this story all the time. I was part of a trade school in elementary. So we were 3 months on, 1 month off, 3 months on, 1 month off. The 1 month off, they give you like a small packet of homework for you to do throughout the whole entire month.
Yeah.
I didn't get the whole month to do it. My parents were like, go sit down and do your homework. I was done in 2 days for the most part. Maybe the week I was done. Then I would follow my mom around the house while she did multiplication with me and math pretty much. So while she's like, dusting and sweeping, she's like 2 times 2, 2 times 8, 8 times 4, and switching it up. Granted though, I'm thankful for that because my mental math is on point. But at the same time, it's like, you kind of stripped me in my childhood just to keep doing homework and to be really smart. So it's very different, two different worlds in my opinion. It's just like if you go to Japan, they go to school 6 days a week, right? They have Sunday classes or Saturday classes. Sundays is for religion and to like recover and everything. Here, we go to school Monday through Friday. So the Asian cultures, it's just as a stereotype say, we're super strict. Probably not the newer generations of Asians, but if your parents came from, Indians are Asians also. They're in the continent of Asia, so I would consider Indians Asians also, and they're really strict also. They have a high expectation. They push, so you can succeed, and that's what they want. Right? So, they're not really pushing you to fail per se. They want you to succeed. It's kind of like, I'm gonna make you succeed because you need to succeed. You don't need to be where I'm at. They came from suffering. They came from coming to this country with nothing. They're like, no, I don't want you to live like this anymore. I want you to be successful.
So you as like a father, have you like dialed it back then than what your parents have done?
I tell my kids all the time, I feel bad for them. They get the both sides of worse. They get the military and the Asian side.
Oh, that.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I tell them all the time. I've dialed it back recently. I would say in probably the last 5 years, I've dialed it back because I was seeing how strict I was. But then again, at the same time, I was very like sleep deprived because I was working so much and everything. And, I just want my kids to be smart, successful people and not be douchebags. That's the biggest thing for me. Right. So just be smart and successful, treat others kindly. The biggest thing was like in the Asian culture, they base everything off of what they see. Right. I like the word, it's, how can I put this without sounding so racial? It's like saying white people, right? We say "akang sa," right? That's the Cambodian way of saying white people, "akang sa," and it means American white. That's what it translates to, right? Mm-hmm. Or we would say black people is "manuk mau." Black people literally translate to that, right? And it's kind of. They didn't have any words for it, so they just chose color. And my parents were also kind of like stereotyping some things too. So like I treat everybody the same. I have friends of all race, colors, and ethnicity. And so when I brought one of my black friends over, they're like, he can't come in the house. And I'm like, why? It's like he might steal something.
Jesus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was that kind of stereotypes that, that because they've never been in this country. So that's the kind of stereotype they hear from other friends, other experiences they've had from other Cambodian families and everything. So, but I kept bringing them over and we kicked it outside for the most part. And then eventually the trust was built and they're like, okay, he might not steal nothing. And so they finally let him in just to play video games. And you're like, all right, you could just stay at the table in the living room. And then from there, my family is now, they're not as stereotypish as they were before. So they've grown themselves. And I'm happy about that. But for a long time, it's like, I'm not going to be like that. Never. I'm not going to, I'm not going to take stereotyping into heart. And that's something that, I want to break as being Asian. I was like, I wanted to break all the bad stereotype of being Asian. Asians can't drive. I'm like, I can drive just fine. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've gotten less tickets than you. I can probably guarantee that, right? If we had the speed, I guarantee I'll have less likely to crash than you. They say Asians, oh, you're squinting, you can't see. I have better vision than almost everybody that I've known for a long time. I had 20/10 at one point. I could see perfectly fine. Asians can't play football. They're not big enough. I'm a pretty big dude. I played football in high school. I lift weights a lot. I joined a 1,000-pound club just to break that stereotype also.
All right, so we are going to need to start wrapping this up. We are 20 minutes over our time that we usually are.
Wow.
I'm sorry about that.
We are almost 20 minutes over.
No, it's
It's fine. It's fine.
fine. I
We've
mean,
had episodes
it was a great
around this size.
conversation.
Yeah. So well, I'll answer one more question. I know Snow said that. What was it? I know you said no to this, right, Hawk? If you could join as a new recruit as today, would you? That's a hard one for me. I from what I know now, I would say yes and no. Like, part of me says yes because the benefits are great. Everybody needs to know that the benefits are great. You got your GI Bill. You come back and it's not like how it was back in Vietnam. The VA takes care of you. But would I do a career out of it? No. I would say no, unless you know what you're gonna do as a career on the civilian side, aka a dentist or a psychologist and this and that. But I wouldn't make it a career.
He's a machinist or something.
Yeah, so it was something that I would have to translate into like the civilian world. Well, I would make it a career, but like as an infantryman, like I would just do what I need to do. And then once my time is done, I'm out. But I survived this long because of my pension. And that's another big thing too. There's no pension.
Yeah.
That's a lot of things that like once you hit your 12-year mark, you're like, all right, I'm over the halfway hump. I need to get through this so I can get my pension. Because what was the whole point of 12 years if I don't get my pension at the end?
True.
And you saw my reasoning on why, because she did ask follow on to me is it's kind of a little bit of both of what she mentioned, but I kind of followed the same aspect of you of what's driving you to stay in. Because to be honest with you, I met my wife when I got out of the military. I had barely been out of the military a year when her and I started talking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you know what? It's hard. It's hard on the family. When I went on my second deployment, my kids were babies, so it was like kiss them on the forehead. I mean, the hardest person I had to say goodbye to was my wife. And then, then I left again when they're older, and it's so much harder. So much harder.
How old are your kids now?
13 and 12.
13. Oh shit! So you've had one for a while then.
Mm-hmm. Teenagers, you just want to choke them. So,
Rex, do we want to do final thoughts, or do we kind of want to just?
We can do final thoughts. I don't know. What's your final thoughts, Asian man?
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me. This is the first podcast I've been a part of. So, like you guys said, I'm a different one. I'm not a content creator. I hope to be one probably later in the future when everything is not as hectic and busy in my life. But I do it. I love the fact that you guys spread veteran awareness. I love it. The experience and people who want to join, people who've already joined. Just to talk. Communication is so key into sometimes dispelling the hate and the darkness in life right now, and just bring some positivity into the world. Especially you, Rex, that you have only friends and family who are military, and you're spreading this. I love that. I love how a civilian would be so cognitive of what goes through a veteran's life and what we've done, what we're going through sometimes. I love it.
Yeah. It surprises a lot of people that I'm a civilian running the podcast, because the most common question I get asked is, what branch should I serve?
Yeah. I mean, that's the same thing that went through my head when I saw you typing in military chat. when he came on your podcast also, I was like, he didn't serve? I was like, what? It's rare to find these people. I mean, my wife is one of them. She didn't serve, and she supports the military 100%. And I love her to death. Like, I'll tell you right now, spouses in the military, without you guys, like it's a whole lot harder dealing with things by yourself. And and she's right next to me here, and she knows it, how much I love her and everything. And if it wasn't for her, like I probably lost my mind a couple times already.
All right. So we are going to right on into Pratisheni. He is also a vet. She is a veteran that I'm trying to get lined up a date for, but we're having difficulties with that one. But that's okay. But we're going to right into him. Ugh. Thank you guys for showing up to Asylum Arms episode 31. I am tired.
We didn't get to one of the questions of Kay.
I don't give a shit. I know what question he wants me to ask. It's basically the duck walk. Did she do the duck walk?
Yeah, we did the duck walk. So you could tell him that. Yeah, that duck walk was